I'm down on the river this morning, a beautiful, peaceful location. I thought it was the perfect spot to film a long overdue update on the ongoing van repairs and also some health issues I've been dealing with behind the scenes and how all of this is going to affect my long-term solo travels. So yes, it's been a lot, but if you watch to the end of the video, I'm going to share some simple, intentional things I've been doing to create joy and peace in my life, and I hope they'll encourage you to do the same. Well, here we are. We're facing more than just breaks. Well, it's Sunday morning and I'm sitting here in Mother Maybelle in the parking lot of a repair shop. Last night we had Mother Maybelle towed in. She wouldn't start. Not even roll over. Just nothing. Yet the headlights turn on and all the indicator lights come on and the bells and dings and everything work. So jumping it did nothing. Well, that video was over 5 weeks ago, and Mother Maybelle is still sitting in the shop, not repaired. As I said when we had her towed in, she would not start. And 4 weeks later, the mechanic finally took her in the garage, and I had him diagnose the other issues I was concerned about. The air conditioning was going to affect the heat. A compressor, I believe, was involved. And also the shimmy was caused by my front tires needing replaced. So, early last week when they called with that, my husband said, let me talk to my wife and I'll call you back. That phone call was late afternoon of the business day, and he called back the next morning and we asked them to go ahead and make those repairs and to also let us know what was wrong with why it didn't start. And the reply was, there's nothing wrong with why it didn't start. It started right up for me and I pulled it into the garage. Well, we had it towed there. That was the whole reason you were looking at it, was to figure out why it wouldn't start. And the reply was, well, you got to bring it to me when it won't start and I'll diagnose it then. And we'd had it towed straight to you 4 weeks ago when it wouldn't start. What do you mean what do you mean? Oh, it's unbelievable. So, can't do anything about it now, he says. What do you want me to do about the other repairs? Well, thankfully enough time had gone past by then that I was blessed to have the money to take care of the other repairs. So we agreed to about $800 worth of repairs. It was going to fix the air conditioning, heat, the front tires, and those brakes. And it was supposed to be done this past Monday. Monday went by. We finally called and checked on it late this week. They got back to us on Friday and said, well, it was so long between us giving you the diagnosis and you calling back that we had to pull it back out of the garage. Mind you, it had just been between one business day and the other. Late one business day, the morning of the next one. So Mother Maybelle is still sitting there on that lot, not fixed. And the original issue I brought her in for, not diagnosed. Supposedly she's getting fixed Monday of this coming week. And I will be bringing her back home, not feeling safe to travel in her because I do not want to get stranded away from home with a van that won't start. So I'll be driving her around locally as much as I can to try to see if I can get the issue to repeat. And I will also be looking for a different mechanic, which I hate because this mechanic is probably the most experienced locally in the type of van I'm driving. But anyway, just frustrating. But on the flip side, I did not expect to have all the other issues fixed by now. I figured it would be spring before I could get some of those addressed, and they're fixed. So I do feel good about that. But I'll be looking for another mechanic. So also, about 5 weeks ago, I started in with what I thought was a bad case of hives, but it just would not go away, and it got insane. So what I thought was a bad case of hives became so insanely miserable that I couldn't focus, I couldn't sleep. There were times I would stand in the middle of the room and just shake and cry. I have never had any reaction like that. And when I get poison ivy, I get it pretty badly. And this was worse than any poison ivy I've ever had. I'm going to share some pictures of what my face looked like. So take this as a fair warning. It might be disturbing to some of you, but if you want to stay and see them, go ahead. If you want to fast forward 5-10 seconds, I totally understand. So now it's been about 5 weeks since it started. I've had 3 doctor's appointments, 2 rounds of steroids, a round of antibiotics, and I continue to be on antihistamines. The worst of the rash is over. I am still itchy, but it's manageable. I have ahead of me 4 more doctor's appointments, a patch test, and a visit with a dermatologist that probably will end up in a biopsy. I've had 2 theories so far, one that it's a viral dermatitis and the other that I've developed a new allergy which has caused a contact dermatitis. So I'd love to have it diagnosed. I want to have it diagnosed, but I admit I'm struggling with it because our insurance is not great. We have an insanely high deductible, so almost all of this is coming out of pocket. And I definitely don't want to go back. So I'm just going to trust that we can cover this as we go. But that has not been fun. what does this mean for my travel plans? Well, my last window for travel for this year would be now. This section of going into November before the holidays, and I have too many doctor's appointments between now and Thanksgiving to get away. Plus, I don't feel safe taking Mother Maybelle out of town while we still don't know why she wouldn't start over a month ago. So I remain grounded. It's okay. I'm not upset about it. Sure, it's frustrating about the mechanic and the health issues I've been dealing with, but I'm okay to be here. It feels right. It feels good. I do hope that after the new year I can head south. It's always good for me to get into the sunlight once the days shorten. I do have plans tentatively. I'm not going to share them yet because I'm not sure they'll work out, but I hope they will. So for now, you'll continue to see me from home base, and I have lots of wonderful things I can share from here. I'm very blessed by where I live, how beautiful it is, how much history is here, and how many wonderful things there are to share that don't get shared enough about where I live. So I look forward to sharing them with you, and I hope you stick around for it. So I promised that I would share some simple and intentional things I do to add joy and peace to my life when things are going a bit rough. And one of the first things I turn to is to create, to make something. In my case, I tend towards fiber and textile arts. So during this time period, especially when I was being driven insane by my skin reaction, one of the only things that could help me get that out of my head was to crochet. And so I've been working on, got about 3 crochet projects going right now. Another thing that I love to do is to sew. I typically sew garments, and I have been working on a pattern that I wanted to do for some time. I love the look in the top stitching, and so I got that made for myself. There's something about creating. I think it's partly to do with what they call flow. I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary called Happy. I highly recommend it. They talk about flow in that documentary as the state of mind when you are so engrossed in an activity that your mind is able to disengage with everything else and only is filled with that thing that you are engaged in. And that's what happens for me when I'm creating. I get into a flow state and everything else disappears. It's a place of quiet and peace and a reprieve from anything that is burdening me, worrying me, concerning me. And for me, I can create flow for myself when I am creating. Another thing that makes a huge difference for me is getting into nature. I don't know the science behind it. I know there's been lots of books written about it. I just know my own experience. If I can get outside into natural light and around trees, it just resets my nervous system. And this is probably the number one reason why I enjoy van life. I work full-time, I work virtually, and I have set a mobile office up inside my van in the front passenger seat. So I can be sitting inside my van with 180-degree views of nature all around me, all the sounds coming through the window, all the lights coming through the windows. And it makes such a huge difference to how I feel, how much energy I have, how productive I am, just how happy I am. And the last one I'm going to share today is connection. And admittedly, this is a hard one for me. I spent several decades of my adult life very connected into well-organized groups. I would have leadership or unofficial leadership roles, and these groups were incredibly important to me. My life purpose was tied to that, and also my self-worth. It's not a healthy way to relate. As I was saying, it was not healthy for me, and I accumulated a fair bit of trauma from that, and several years of therapy. So I struggle now to connect, especially in organized groups, which are often the best way to find new friends and new relationships. So I'm working on this one. I'm trying my best, encouraging myself to get things on my calendar where I can go and connect with others and make some relationships and connections. I'm feeling the loss of that, and I want it in my life. But I have to juggle that with how triggering it can sometimes be. And that's the truth of my reality, and I think it's part of my desire to share these videos on YouTube is also finding some connection. Probably not fair for me to give an update without updating you on June. She is cozy and happy at home. I didn't bring her with me today because I knew I'd be doing a lot of talking to the camera, and having her on a leash in one hand and filming in the other makes for a very jiggly, shaky video. So I left her home. So I'm going to share some clips of her, and I need to give her credit. I shared 3 ways that I put simple and intentional things in my life to create joy and peace, and June is a big part of that as well. So here's some footage of June. So I'm almost at the end of the river walk, and if you've watched all the way to this point in the video, I just want to thank you. It really helps my channel so much. If you like the content that I've shared, I hope that you'll subscribe and like this video so that you can continue on this journey with me. And I'm going to leave you with one final question. If life is throwing a lot at you, what do you do to add some peace and joy to your life? I hope you'll leave it in the comments below because I would love to read it.